I think poverty to a large extent is also a state of mind. And you take somebody with the wrong mindset, you can give them everything in the world. They'll work their way back down to the bottom.
People will highlight clips like these and believe that Ben Carson is right, thinking that an entire group of people is lazy and not worth basic human dignity. This is a generalization and a stigma that needs to be broken. We're now at my hometown of Kirkwood, Missouri. Kirkwood's poverty rate is at 4.6% according to the U.S. Census.
So there's definitely a stigma. Kirkwood, I think a lot of people that live in Kirkwood don't believe that there is maybe a need, but you would be surprised that, some of these people that need help could be your neighbors. It affects all of us, not just a few of us, or not just an area or a pocket of Kirkwood. Yeah, I think that's an important piece, if you can share that we try to get that message out.
This is Bridge Bread, a bakery in the city of St. Louis who hires homeless people in an attempt to combat the crisis and give those workers a new future. It's very hard for them to maintain and have a job. Do you think that, there is a stigma around poverty, especially in the city, that, would kind of be maybe a turnoff for an employer, or just the general public, that makes it harder for them to have those types of jobs?
There is both a stigma and there are real barriers. There's both. So the stigma is people make assumptions. Like if I were to ask you, I know I'm not interviewing you, but if I were to ask you, why are people homeless? What would you say? But what the real answer is that ordinary people that get into an ordinary crisis, that could be a loss of a job, loss of a partner, loss of their health, whatever it might be, and they don't have the resources to get through it. If they got the resources to get through it, they don't end up losing their homes. If they don't have the resources to get through it, they can't fix the car, can't get to work, they can't feed the dog, they can't pay the light bill. It's just a downward spiral and ends up with everything with them being on the street.
Yet, in the midst of this is what politicians are doing about it.
$50 million in encampment grants to address the issue of encampments. We're providing them new tools with a care court to address the vexing issues of mental health. Of course, my opponent opposed the funding.
The theme of this debate is that the governor has all this great talk, but the policies don't actually fix the problem. If you want to tackle homeless, I was a county supervisor for 16 years. He said in 2003, when he was the mayor of San Francisco, he was going to end homelessness. I just drove down the street here today, stepping over people defecating on the street and needles. He hasn't fixed it.
The constant bickering from the political elites on issues that matter to us may seem frustrating, as it happens time after time after time, but we, the American people, cannot give up hope. We cannot lose sight of what we fight for. We cannot lose sight of those who are putting solutions in place for homelessness, for poverty, and for the stigma that surrounds it. We owe it to them to not give up at the sight of a roadblock.
The story that I like to tell about that is the story of one of our bakers named Daryl. So Daryl was sleeping in the bushes at a bank drive-thru and he came to work for us. And he had never baked. He learned to bake, became a lead baker, became a shift supervisor, became a kitchen manager, and we actually put him on the board of directors. And so Daryl stayed with us till he was 64 and a half. And then he retired, but it turned out he was retiring because he wasn't feeling well. He had cancer, and he died. And when we let A.B. Maury know that Daryl had passed, we got condolences from 5 continents.
Wow.
Okay, so North America, South America, Europe, and Australia. And so when people say that homeless people, they're like vermin or something, there's something to be avoided, I go, do you think when you pass that people are going to send condolences from 5 continents? Because they did for Daryl.
Yeah.
So that's how I answer that one.
That's incredible.
And so the governor, along with Senator Michael Padilla and myself, had an idea about ensuring that every child in New Mexico, K through 12, had access to free nutritious meals regardless of income status. We ran with it. Legislation was written. We got bipartisan support there. I don't want them to be the kid who's going to be embarrassed to take the free meal because they're at the poverty level, by everybody having the access to free meals. There's no stigma to it. They're gonna eat, and they're gonna get those nutrients that they need throughout the day. So that's the goal. Make sure that everybody has a seat at the table, right? Pun intended. Everybody has a seat at the table with no stigma, and everyone has access to healthy meals. I wish I understood Christian white people wouldn't support a bill that's so common sense like this, that has nothing to do with party lines, but it has everything to do with investing in our children and our future.
Dear Mr. President Trump, you are inheriting a nation that may seem more divided than ever before, but if you just take 1 second to look at any corner of this country and to search in any level of this government, you are going to find people who are dedicated and willing to tackle this and other issues just as large and challenging. It is up to you to capitalize on it.